Reports of military deployments in U.S. cities abound. People want to know now what's going down. Given the faith and confidence their government has inspired in them, I can understand people want to know what's going around. So, my friends, yeah, there's been a lot of reports, lots of reports coming from all over military deployments, military activities in U.S. cities, in U.S. streets. So people are chatting this up in all the comment sections of our videos. They're coming out with videos on this. I'm seeing a lot of activity. So it's time to discuss it because some people are coming out and saying, well, this is the National Guard, nothing to worry about. And other people say, oh, no, the National Guard wouldn't do that. They wouldn't put tanks in the street. We're going to go all into that. We're going to show you some videos, and I'll let you know kind of how I see this. So let's buckle up, guys. This is Greg Allison with Green Greg's, and we're in here to help you survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive. Keep you aware of what's going down and around when you need to know what's happening downtown. All right, guys. So I'm going to do a little share here, bing, bing, bing. And we're going to go and look at some of these videos first, and then we're going to discuss them. All right, here we are in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This is something reported on the Hal Turner show. And this is an armored personnel carrier. It's not a tank, but it is an armored vehicle in downtown U.S. City. Now, do note it's got rubber tires. And you can see there's a little column of them. See, I can do short little video clips. If I'm talking, I don't give you editorial. This is a video of a military operation. Now you can see some other vehicles back there. So they got something going down there. So it's clearly military vehicles in the city streets of Pennsylvania. So let's look at this. This is from Twitter of Derek Bros. Now, many of you people may know him. He's got an internet channel. He's also been connected some with activities. Our good friend Rex Bear. All right, guys, let's watch this. This shows tanks moving down a highway. These are actual battle tanks. I don't know, it's hard to tell. Might even be a mobile artillery. They're just kind of heavy in the back end, more like an artillery piece. All right, looks now that's a tank. See the back part now. Looks like this. It's hard to see the resolution here. They blow it up. No, I don't blow it up. That'll eat up my whole page. Yeah, we'll try it. We'll try it. Let's blow this up. Yeah, its resolution's kind of rough. That is a tank. Wait a minute. Those are not it. Those are not M1. No, that's mobile. That's mobile artillery. Pardon me. That's mobile artillery. That's not M1 Abrams. What is this stuff, guys? What is going on? Now, he said that was Idaho Falls today. Now, here's another one from Derek Bros, and he's come out and said that my contact that sent this video says it's not a drill. Well, it may be, it may not be. We'll discuss this in a minute, and we'll blow this one up so you can see it. This is an Osprey, which is a military aircraft, apparently landing in a civilian community. Now, these trucks and vehicles here are painted kind of green, so maybe they got something else going on back over here. Could be an armory. I don't know. Just definitely landing, and this looks pretty much like it must be a neighborhood. Kind of hard to tell. Got some kids there, and there's an ice cream shop. So maybe this is like downtown. This must not be a community people are living in. So, but I see a sign for an ice cream shop there, and some boys out here. But they run because they're scared. They're running for the ice cream. I scream, you scream for ice cream. Here we go. Here comes another one. Osprey coming in. Now this seems to be, this is definitely a city street. So how is it you got all this going on in city streets? That's another Hal Turner video of that. Okay, guys, let's stop the share for a minute and chat. These reports come out every year off and on, principally around the summertime. You see a lot more reports. There's all those various stuff throughout the year. It has been for a few years where people see military vehicles, especially on trains, tanks being moved back and forth. I've seen that up here in Ardmore, the train track crosses a highway there many times. You'll see sometimes military vehicles, tanks, and other things. That is just part of general movement of stuff. You see that a lot. You got units move sometimes for exercise and other things, big units, and then a lot of that moves by tanks. Sometimes new equipment's been delivered either to a military unit or somewhere overseas, or something else is going on. Like if you're moving it overseas, you might want to move it to an intermodal facility where you've got rail, air, or other types of shipment available to you. We've got one here in the Huntsville area. Tanks themselves are manufactured typically in this nation. The M1 at least is manufactured by General Dynamics up in Michigan. I've been to the General Dynamics plant where they make those things many moons ago. And there's they started out as a Chrysler division. I used to work for Chrysler when I first got out of college, and I worked on the M1 tank for a period of time, brief period. But in any event, the situation is that equipment gets moved. Sometimes it's got to go to the depot for depot maintenance. There's scheduled maintenances that equipment goes through from time to time. So there's different things that would have equipment moving back and forth on tracks and trains. It's been doing that for years. It's nothing new that happens. Now, running through the streets, that's getting people excited. Hell, Osprey landing seemingly in the town gets someone excited. But you got to remember, there's also things called National Guard and Army Reserve, just military reserve units all throughout the United States. I myself, after I served, I joined the Army for 3 years. I extended 9 months to bring my family up to Alaska when I was there because I first went up on a short duty tour. And for some reason, I decided to get the family up there with me. Long story, but next thing I know is I'm in the National Guard for 2 years. And what do? We travel. National Guard units are based in armories. Armories might be right smack dab in a city, in the middle of a city or a town. Armories, there's several of them around here that were located downtown. The one in Huntsville was pretty much downtown Huntsville, pretty close. So you'll have city, urban environment around. Now, the one I was located now, the one in Albertville, where I went to high school, was in town. The one where I actually joined was in Gunnersville. It was actually out in the country a little bit, which is nicer. But what you got with the Army? You got a little compound, you got a building, and you got a yard with a chain link fence around it, and you got vehicles in the yard. And either you're doing all your training in the yard or the building, but you do that, pretty much on weekends, or you go somewhere. And typically National Guard has 2 weeks. They actually make a trip for 2 weeks. You got to spend 2 weeks active in the National Guard in the summertime. And they typically like to do it when there's a holiday so that the people that are working, remember, National Guardsmen and Army reservists and stuff like that, you are a weekend warrior when you're in that kind of a profession, because that stuff don't pay you typically full time. There are a few people do it full time, but for the most part, you have another job and you have to leave your job to go on this duty. So if you can do it when there's a holiday, like this Juneteenth holiday, which is coming up, then that kind of works out a little better in conjunction with weekends, although some people like to keep holidays for family purposes. But most National Guard units, they have a certain 2-week period, whatever it is, that's when you go, and you got to go. Now, the plant I worked in when I was in the National Guard, I worked in a cotton mill there first time I was in. And they had a vacation regular schedule in July. Fortunately, our guard unit actually accommodated that. But it was only a week, so you had to go without pay for whatever time that you were on guard duty that your company tipped. Well, some, I think they did pay now, come think about it. It's been 30 years ago, so my memory's getting a little foggy on some of that. But in any event, you're weekend warriors. And so that means you will go somewhere to do your main training. I mean, if you got communications vehicles, tanks, or whatever it is you got, the only way to really practice and use them correctly is out in the field somewhere. So maybe you're going to a military base, which is not where your guard armory is at typically. So we travel to, in many cases, down to Camp Shelby, Mississippi. We would form a convoy of vehicles and go from Gunnersville, Alabama, which is up North Alabama, all the way to South Mississippi, almost to the Gulf of Mexico. Very long drive, very long convoy. We did that going down and back twice a year. So, you're down and back. Well, each trip. But there would also be other training opportunities for some long weekends and things like that you would go on and take your military vehicles on the road. And we did that principally in the summertime. For instance, June, July, August, and you prefer to do it before it gets too hot. So June is really a good time to be out on maneuvers like that. Camp Shelby, we did it once on Redstone Arsenal here in the Huntsville area. I was only in the Guard for 2 years, so I did one at Camp Shelby and one at Redstone, but most of the time they went to Camp Shelby. And I drove a deuce and a half truck, big old 2.5 ton truck with a generator I was pulling behind it. My truck had a communications van on the back of it. It was a ANTRC 138 radar, excuse me, is a microwave relay station. So for those of you that know that kind of stuff. So guys, I've seen this, been part of it. We got on the road, we did that regularly, and they still do that. Now tanks, I've heard, okay, so I saw one channel talk about this, and he says, well, I got this veteran that come in there and said, well, tanks don't do that. They don't do it because they're tear the road up, and we always moved all our stuff on trucks and trains. Well, that may be true of a regular Army unit for the most part. For the most part, most of your Army units, of course, they're right there on base. They can do all their training right there. That's where they're based at. And actually, a good number, not all of them, a good number of the National Guard units are also based on base. They also have that kind of arrangement. So check out these National Guard units, and you can see where they're at. And we're going to go in here and look at this in a minute. But so a lot of this is National Guard. Now, but there's that question about the tanks and the streets. We're going to look at that. I'm going to show you some more here. Hang on, guys. Let's go back in here to share screen. Oh, yeah, guys. By the way, I think I mentioned this. If you're not got your garden planted yet, yeah, and happy Father's Day. If you're not got your garden planted yet, you can still grow summer and fall items. There's still a lot you can plant. So go to True Leaf Market. This is one of the best ways to prep is to start growing. And even if you're just growing a tomato, just getting the practice and learning will help you when it goes down, because you need to have something growing up. So consider your own gardening exercise, guys. True Leaf Market, links below. I get a small commission if you purchase them. Don't cost you a thing extra. Or Eden Brothers. You get the heirloom seeds here. Buy heirloom seeds, the kind of seeds that when you plant them, you get the same kind of plant back, not some hybrid plant. You don't want to use hybrids. You know, guys, these are all non-GMO here on True Leaf Market, and I get all my microgreed seeds here. And of course, Eden Brothers have got a lot of nice stuff too. Anyway, let's go back over here and look at some rest of this stuff. All right, guys, here is a list of armored cavalry units, regiments in the United States. And you see a lot of these are based at various military bases, but not all of them. A lot of these don't show an affiliation or just in a city somewhere. See quite a number. And there's one that was 1 to 100. Now we're talking 201 to 300, 300 on. So there's over 300 of these units scattered around the country. Now I already clicked on one of them that did not have a military base associated with it, the 18th Cavalry Regiment. Now this is in California. And no, it's not associated with a military base. In fact, this is a cavalry, so it's probably a tank unit. And it is associated with a town in California. I found it earlier. Azusa. I'm probably not pronouncing that right. This is not a big, ginormous town, apparently. I could be wrong. But this is a town in California in the San Gabriel Valley. This got a armored unit, cavalry unit, and it's MITS there, National Guard. Most people there probably don't even know it. So can you legally drive a tank on U.S. roads? Yes, you can. Depends on the state and blah, blah, blah. You got you can actually buy tanks. So this has been addressed to civilians. So you got to deactivate, remove, the armor that's explosive and have rubber tracks. Well, what about rubber tracks? Well, what's rubber tracks for? Well, partly to run on the road. And yeah, there's a lot of tanks that use rubber tracks. Some of them are totally rubber. Some just have the rubber cleats or feet or shoes on them. Military track and track pads. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff out here on the rubberized tracks, which are used to be on the street. And here you are. This is for the M1 tank, M1 Abrams T156 track shoe. You see that? There they are. Does that look like rubber to you? Well, here's another picture. This is all assembled here. What's that look like to you there, huh? think that looks like, it looks like plastic in that picture, so I don't think that's an actual picture anymore. No, it's not an actual picture. Okay, let's go here where the government's trying to do a solicitation to get some of this stuff. And it says, here they are, they're looking for a T158LL track shoe assembly for the M1 Abrams family of vehicles. Okay. And if you come down here, the rubber components are restricted to the approved sources. Hey, they want to get good rubber. They ain't going to break and fall apart because they're carrying a lot of weight on them. So, and here's some other types of track pads for other armored vehicles that you put in the tracks. Oh yeah, here's somebody driving a tank in a parade downtown. Different things, different tank pictures. All right, enough of that. Stop and share. So yes, you can drive a tank. You can buy a tank. You got certain restrictions. So yeah, I saw where somebody looked, oh, you can't drive the tanks on civilian streets. Listen, one of my high school buddies was in a military tank, I think an M60 in Germany, and he ran over somebody and killed them. Civilian, unfortunately. He's not with us any longer today. He passed away probably because he lived a little too hard and a little too fast. And it might have something to do with that wreck. He tended to like to hit the bottle a little too hard. And I wonder if that had a lot to do with what happened in Germany and what happened to him later. I don't know. But I do know that, yeah, you can get a tank on the street. And you definitely saw some out on the streets in some of these pictures. Now, that downtown Pennsylvania was not tanks. That's armored personnel carriers, and they had rubber wheels. Now, the thing about the tank track is what the tank track does, it distributes that weight of that vehicle over a big area. So it's not tearing up a road surface, but it's really meant to get you across dirt and fill so you won't get stuck in that big heavy vehicle. Just place that weight and distribute it out as much as you can. So it's not as hard on the roads as some people might think. One of the biggest reasons you want to transport tanks by trucks and other vehicles when you can is to save the wear and tear on the tank itself, especially on long distance travel if you're shipping across country. And even those cleats moving around put in a lot of vibratory loads. There's a movement afoot to take all those cleated pieces and take the whole thing and rubberize it all. So there's some discussion about doing that. And I have driven skid steers that had totally rubberized tracks. Fun to drive. I love them. So I think I've got a video showing a little bit of that somewhere on the channel where I was prepping for my greenhouses back here. But anyway, guys, so that's the bottom line, is that National Guard units do get out. They do train. They train this time of the year. Some of them are Air National Guard, so you might expect to see aircraft in operations. When you think you're seeing it come down in the city, a lot of your armories are in cities. I know. I've seen them. I've been there. I've been to other armories. I was in an armory myself. So this is not that unusual. Now, that unit in Pennsylvania, that might have been coming from the armory. Maybe it was just, go all the way around the city. It was just too far. It was a lot shorter to get through the town, and fuel cost a lot of money. So it might have just been an economics thing to get through the town from point A to point B. Now, during the Floyd riots, there was a lot of Humvees and military vehicles kind of scattered around, not really doing anything, but they were out there. So in a lot of these cities, maybe they were protecting some certain things. I don't know what they were out there for, or what they did or didn't do. I don't know. Wasn't there. But my friends, it's that time of the year that National Guard units do get out and about. And Army Reserve, any kind of air reserves, it's that time that things happen in that regard. So seeing these things don't really alarm me per se. Now that's not to say that something might not go down. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I'm not seeing anything as yet that makes me concerned. I would expect if we were going to see the military make movements against the country, that would be against some pretext. They would set a pretext up first, of maybe a flag, maybe a flag not so true, if you know what I mean. Something you would hear something would be some notions of terrorism, civil strife in this country. There's something going on. Maybe some of those sleeper cells would be activated, or somebody posing as a sleeper cell would activate. There could be all kind of things that would happen to give precursors to an event like that to get the public to kind of accept or, act like they know what's going on, so they, won't be so alarmed and maybe resist as much. Because even with the military units, there still isn't enough to totally cover this country on military units. And, you got to imagine the people in this country, we could make our own militias quite readily. So, they, until they can come around and do what Joe Biden wants to do, that, and taking all our nugs to the nug pound. You know what I mean? Turn that word around if you've not been on my channel before. Nug. You know what I'm talking about. Just go whoop. Anyway, so yeah, that's what they, some of them would like to do, and maybe that's why they like to do it. But, it really takes my interest as Xi Jinping takes great interest in American violence. So you got too many of these things. You got to get rid of them, blah, blah. Why is it his business? Why does he care? It's because he was worried about what's behind every blade of grass in this country. Maybe he'd like to come over here and take a piece. Maybe he already got a piece. Look around what they're buying around military bases. All right, enough said on that, guys. So I wouldn't be too concerned yet, because I would expect some big pretext. I mean, look, who's in the National Guard? It's people, it's family members that's in their communities. They're not full-time soldiers. If they were about to be mobilized to take over a piece of the country, they'd be talking to their brother and sister and mom, dad, kids, wife. Somehow that would start leaking out. And I don't hear nothing like that right now. The chatter in that direction is just too quiet, too quiet. Now, it's not saying that they may not know it. They might be on maneuvers, and the higher ups are practicing and seeing how they can maneuver things, and can they set things up for something. I can't argue with that. It could be. Or maybe they're on maneuvers and they don't know that they're about to be deployed into something. Yeah, it could always happen to you. They just happen to conveniently be there, and then everything goes down. Oh, you do this, you do that. Things like that could happen. But I'll be honest, guys, I'm not concerned about this at this point in time. If you think I'm wrong, leave me a comment below in the chat session. Tell me, maybe you'll change my mind. But we got a lot of other things to be worried about, guys. I worry about our grid. I worry about what's going on with Russia and China. I worry about our economy. And maybe one day they will try to pull something over on us. But right now, today, this week, I'm having a hard time saying it. But anyway, you tell me what you think. What do you think? Do you think it's going down, or do you think it's just overblown? Tell me below. I'd like to hear what you say about it. All right, guys. Thank you for watching, and Greg out.